Hey guys, welcome to IB Economics, and this particular video is Unit 1.2, which is the history of economic thought. So what I'm going to take you through here is a progression from sort of the early days of economics right through to the present day, and introduce you to a number of the key economists and the type of economics that they established. You can go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to that, and you'll get access to all of my content surrounding IB Economics. So let's start at the beginning. Adam Smith is sort of known to be the godfather, the founder of modern economics. Adam Smith was a Scottish economist. He lived in the 1700s and published his book, The Wealth of Nations, in 1776, the same date as the American independence, so easy to remember. Adam Smith is a classical economist. So the early economists were known as classical economists. Everything revolves around sort of supply and demand and the free market. So you'll come across terms like laissez-faire economics or the invisible hand. That's a phrase from Adam Smith. The free market, everything you do really in Unit 2 around supply and demand is based upon the work of Adam Smith. And he introduces us to this famous quote, not from the benevolence of the baker do we get our daily bread, but from his regard for his own self-interest, sort of advent of the rational economist, somebody who is only doing something because of a self-interest benefit to them. And that's really the basic philosophy of classical economics in general. So when we talk about classical economics, we mean the free market, and classical economics conditions are that you've got perfect competition, a lot of competition in other words. In Unit 2 with the microeconomics, then you'll get to the best sort of outcome without any government interference. That's not really the view of Karl Marx, of course. So Karl Marx, living in the 1800s, he's the sort of founder of communism, and he believed that workers, the proletariat, were being exploited by capitalism, by the owners of the factors of production. And he felt as well that these workers were not paid the full entitlement. In other words, the surplus value of everything they produced went to profit to the entrepreneurs. John Maynard Keynes appears in the 1920s, 1930s, known as Keynesian economics. It's macroeconomics. And with John Maynard Keynes, we now see a reference to the government, so the importance of government intervention in the economy in order to drive the economy in the right directions. And remember, he's writing during the Great Depression of the 1930s, so he didn't see a way out of the problems that the economy faced without government intervention. I'm moving a long way forward now. We come to behaviour economics or nudge economics at the 2000s onwards. So Richard Thaler is known as the sort of pioneer of supply-side nudge economics, behavioural economics. And many governments now have got nudge departments where economists work in order to try and develop new and inventive ways of encouraging people to go about doing things in the right way. We've also more recently seen the replacement of the traditional economy, going back right to the start of the Industrial Revolution, the take, make, use, dispose, pollute economy that we've been familiar with in the past, to now something referred to as the circular economy, the make, use, reuse, remake, recycle. So environmental sort of economics has come to the fore over the last few years. An economist associated with that is Kate Raworth, who has developed the donut. You might be familiar with that, or you will become familiar with it. And she saw the economy, the certain requirements of an economy from a sort of social foundation, but there was also an ecological sort of limit to how far the economy could go. And what the challenge is to operate in that green zone, the acceptable sort of level where we balance the social requirements along with ecological. So just to provide a quick summary, we're going back to the 18th century with Adam Smith and laissez-faire. Classical economics dominated the 19th century, like free market economics. We move into the 20th century and we see the rise of Keynes between the wars with the Great Depression of the 1930s. So macroeconomic policy then. Keynesian economics was 1960s into the 70s, and we saw towards the end of the 1970s, 1980s, a revival of classical economics. We refer to it as neoclassical revolution or revival. People like Milton Friedman and Hayek, who was a little bit earlier in the 1940s, pushing the free market agenda in the 1980s and 90s. Now, as we just mentioned, 21st century, we're seeing behavioural economics along with a sort of more environmental angle taken as well. So there you go. That's an introduction to famous economists in history. If you want to find out more, as I said, to access all of my videos, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe.